2007 Hyundai Santa Fe, rear brake pads and rotors. What you want to do is jack it up and support it properly. Remove your rear tires, 21 millimeter for the lug nuts. First thing you want to do is remove your caliper. It's held on by two 14 millimeter head bolts. And they look like this. Get yourself a flat blade screwdriver. Pry the caliper up a little bit, get it off of there. And you want to inspect your caliper, inspect the boot and the piston, make sure there's no tears in the boot and no fluid leakage. Looks good. I use a pair of channel locks. You can use a C-clamp and an old pad to push the piston back in, okay? Next you want to do is remove your caliper bracket. That's a 14 millimeter head bolts also. They look like that, two of them. One here and one there. Okay, I got both of mine out. You see how rusty they get right here? Sometimes they get frozen in there and then you can't get the bolts out and you snap the heads off. All right, so now all you do is remove your caliper bracket. The pads are frozen in there pretty good. This is the other side. Pad got to be so thin. And this one's frozen in there also. Also make sure that these slide pins are free. Because if they're frozen, if they're stuck in there, then you're gonna have to either heat them up or replace them. This one's frozen, so I'll have to heat it up a little bit. Try not to melt my boot. And then I can loosen this up and get it out of there. Okay, next you want to do is remove your rotor. It's got the little fasteners on there from factory. And I got to use my impact driver with a Phillips bit on it. Hit it with a hammer. Make sure you turn it the direction you want it to go. Smack it with a hammer, loosens them up. If they're frozen in there and you have to X them with a die grinder, then you can take a chisel and chisel the heads off, and then you can go ahead and hit the rotor off of there with a mini sledge, and then you can remove the rest of the threads. Okay, this one almost gonna come off, so I have to tap it with a hammer. And make sure if you're replacing your rotor, to save your little adjuster plugs. My rotor's stuck on there on the parking brake shoes. So what I'll do is I'll hit this out that way, tap that back in, take my hammer, keep hitting this way, and it slowly comes off. If that isn't working, then you gotta take the plug out and find the adjuster and loosen it up. Best thing to do is to do both sides at the same time so you can actually get one off if you do, and you can see what you're doing to get to the adjuster. Down here is the adjuster, so it's on the bottom, so you'll have to turn it one way or the other, which way works best to loosen up the shoes out of the drum. Okay, so once you got the rotor off, you want to clean up your hub, make sure it's free and clear of any rust buildup. This one looks pretty good. Got anti-seize on it, so go ahead. If it's rusty, clean it up. Put a new film of anti-seize on it before you put your rotor back on. All right, and go ahead and put some lube on your actuator for your parking brake and also your adjuster wheel. And just be aware that this is all rusted. When you put your new rotor on, it's possibly going to hit this. So just go ahead and take a nice screwdriver and go around it and clean it up to help prevent your rotor from hitting the backing plate. And then go ahead and move it off. Don't forget your lube. Okay. Then go ahead, get your pads out of your brackets, either stuck in there. these from your caliper brackets, and then you need to clean up that surface, all that rust in there. Because rust expands, and when it expands, it pinches the pads and doesn't allow the pads to move freely. Also, you need to clean up your pins, slide pins. Put some new Seal Glide on the pins and work it in there, and get this one unfrozen. If you gotta heat it up too much, then you want to take this boot off of there, work it around the pin so you can get it out. That way you don't melt it. Or you go to a parts store and buy some new pin kits, or even possibly a new caliper bracket. All right, I got my calipers cleaned up. Now what I'm gonna do is paint them and put some Seal Glide on my pins and put them inside there. To clean that up, I use an angle die grinder with a sandpaper disc on it. No, I still gotta fix that one and heat it up and get that pin out. Got my new rotor on there. Wash it off with soap and water, get rid of the shipping oil. Got my plug back in, and I use that to hold the rotor on. Got anti-seize on it so it won't freeze in there. Okay, I applied a little heat to it. Made sure my boots aren't stuck to my slide pin or my caliper bracket so I don't tear them when I wiggle it back and forth. And I just keep working it. And I'm gonna pull on it as I twist. There it is. Already. Now what you do is get yourself a drill bit that fits in here nicely and ream it inside there to clean that out. And then go ahead and clean up your slide pin. All right, clean your slide pins up. See that groove? If it's all nasty and rusty, get a hacksaw blade. That'll clean it up, fits right in there. Same thing with the bracket. All right, so get some Seal Glide and make a puddle of it. Then you can go ahead and put a little bit on your boots. And put your boots back on here. Spin them, make sure they spin on there. And go ahead, take your slide pin, rub it in there. Make sure you get it inside that groove. And you just want to work this in there. Okay. Push it in there, and then push it all the way in, and then you can go ahead and release the air that's trapped in there. You know, and then that thing will stay sucked in a little bit. So go ahead and do that to the other one. Okay. Work it in there. Boom. Like I said, just go ahead and do that, and then once you do that, then you can just go ahead and pull it off to the side and release some of the air that's trapped in there. And then you want to go ahead and paint them. Okay, time to put the hardware bundle clips back in there. And on these, they have little clips that go in the center. So you make sure that it's bottomed out, sitting flush. See a clip inside there. If you need help pushing them in, I use a little brush. It's got the nice little angle on it. Caliper bracket, start getting them mounted, get your bolts on there, get them started. Put a little bit of anti-seize on the shank, I guess. It's got a lock washer, so don't need no Loctite, so get them in there. Get them started, get them snugged up, and then you want to torque them to 54 foot-pounds. All right, get those torqued to 54 foot-pounds. Caliper bracket is torqued. Now you can put our brake pads in there. These act like little springs. So what you do is you put it at an angle. Get it in there, get it started like that. Push it towards the center. Then you can grab the inner pad and make sure you put the inner pad, the squeaker, towards the rotation of the rotor. So it'll be on the bottom. Squeaker's on the bottom, remember? Put it in here first. Get it inside the hardware. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt sometimes. And just squeeze it in there. Boom. All right. Now it's time for your caliper. Hopefully I got the piston pushed in all the way far enough. And you gotta go ahead and push the slide pins in so you can get it past them. And if you can't push the slide pins in, you might have too much sill glide in them. And get your bolts started. And you want to torque those to 23 foot-pounds. Okay, they're snugged up. Torque them to 23 foot-pounds. All right, torqued. All set. This side's done. Do the other side exactly the same way, except it's on the other side. All right, so when you get both sides done, go ahead, put your back tires on, put your lug nuts on, and then you want to torque them to 100 foot-pounds. Lower the vehicle down to the ground, go inside it, start it up, push the pedal to the floor a couple of times. That way it takes up the gap in your piston and your pads, that you'll have some braking when you do put it in drive reverse. So make sure you have a brake pedal before you put it in drive reverse. That's why you're pumping the brakes now. All right, so then after you're done with that, go ahead and open the hood, check your brake reservoir, top it off as needed, clean off the cap, and that will complete your job. Hopefully I helped you out with this video, and hopefully you can help me out by subscribing to me, and I appreciate it, and good luck.